All right, guys, so I'm going to make a quick video for you guys to reference back to if you need help on any of your rounding work that I'm posting for you on Google Classroom to work on over the next few weeks, okay? So just as a reminder, here are our 5 steps for rounding. I've posted these on Google Classroom as well if you need to look at the steps. I also have this tool right here, which is going to help us when we're rounding, line up our numbers. I've posted one on Google Classroom that you can print, but if you cannot print it at home, you can just make one just like I did. If you need help, ask your parent, okay? So let's work on some rounding together. I know that we have already done this a few times, but we are just going to do some quick review. So here is my sheet of problems that we are going to review, okay? So let's start with number 1. For number 1, we want to round that number to the nearest 100. So I'm going to take my little tool right here, okay? Now remember, my problem says 100. It ends with that D. So I gotta use this one right here, 100, the one that ends with the D. I'm not looking at the 100th because that's gonna be incorrect, okay? So remember, this number is 1,301. We can assume that our decimal point is gonna be right here at the end of that number, okay? So take your piece of paper, whatever paper you need. Put down your little tool and let's write this number in there. Remember our decimal. Here, let me move it up. Remember, we want to line it up with our decimal. So I'm just going to rewrite my number over here, lined up, okay? So if I'm starting with my decimal, I'm just going to write backwards. That way I don't skip any spaces. So let's start with my decimal. So I'm going to have my decimal. I'm going to bring it down here and write it on my own piece of paper. In my ones place will go my 1. In my tens place will be the 0. In the hundreds place will be that 3. And in the thousands place will be that 1, okay? So I have that same number there. All right, now, what am I rounding to? I'm rounding again to the nearest 100, okay? Let's line it back up. Here's my hundreds, all right? Let's go to the rules. Underline the place being rounded. I'm gonna underline my hundreds, which is my 3. Go back to our rules. Look at the number to the right of your underlined number. So to the right of our underlined number is going to be our 0. If that number is a 5 or higher, raise your underlined number by 1. That number is not a 5, and it is not higher than a 5. So let's go to our next step. If the number is 4 or lower, keep your underlined number the same. So 0 is lower than 4. So we are going to keep our underlined number the same, which means it's going to stay at 3. And our last step, change all numbers to the right of your place value, which is going to be that underlined number, to 0. So all numbers to the right of my place value, this way, need to be turned into a 0. This guy's already a 0. And all we need to do is turn that guy into a 0. So go back to our problem. 1,301 rounded to the nearest 100 is going to be just 1,300. Now we can move on to the next one, okay? I'm not going to do all of them because I think it's going to be a little too lengthy, but if you guys have any questions while you are working on the assignments that I have given you, have your parents email me, call me, text me, they should have my phone number, okay? And I can totally help you with whichever problems you might need help on. Let's do one more, or here, we'll do two more. All right, we're gonna do this one. We're gonna do number 4. Round to the nearest tenths place, okay? So remember, this has got that TH at the end, all right? So we're not doing tens, we're doing tenths with the TH at the end, okay? So we have 11.085. So let's rewrite our number. And we're gonna set it up, line it up with your decimal. So we put our decimal here, right? To the right of my decimal, I have a 0, an 8, and a 5. So I'm gonna put my 0, my 8, and then my 5. And then to the left of my decimal, I have 2 1s. So I'll put 1 here, 1 here, okay? Let's go to our rules. Underline the place being rounded. Again, let's look at the question. We're rounding to the nearest tenths with the TH. All right, let me line that back up. So we are going to underline right here because we are rounding to that tenths place value. Number 2, look at the number to the right of our underlined number. Okay, here's the number to the right of our underlined number. We have 8. Go back to your rules. If that number is 5 or higher, raise the underlined number by 1. All right, we have an 8, so that is going to be higher than a 5. So we have to raise our underlined number by 1. So 0 plus 1 is going to give us 1. Okay? Now, if we've done step 3, we already know that our underlined number is not going to be a 4 or lower, so we can skip that step. And then let's go down to 5. Change all numbers to the right of your place value, which is your underlined number. Change them to 0. So this will become a 0, and that will become a 0. All right? So then let's just rewrite our number down here with our decimal. So we have 1, 1, decimal, 1, 0, 0. So for our problem number 4, 11.085 rounded to the nearest tenth is 11.100. Let me just write that in here. Okay. Last one we're going to do is the number 7, the whole number one, because I think sometimes we get confused with that. So number 7 says round to the nearest whole number. All right. So let me rewrite over here again. I'm going to rewrite my number. I'm going to line it up with my decimal. Okay. To the right of my decimal, I have a 6 and a 0. To the left of my decimal, I have a 4 and a 2. So I have 24.60. Okay. Now, when we round to the whole number, all right, the whole number is going to be that number before the decimal, to the left of the decimal. So this whole thing, 24, is our whole number. Okay. All right. So just pretend, even though we underlined more than one number, that is the whole number. So we're going to follow the steps like normal. Look at or underline what's being rounded. So we underlined our whole number because we're rounding to the whole number. Step 2, look at the number to the right of the underlined number. So to the right of the underlined number is going to be the 6, all right? So we're looking at the 6. If that number is a 5 or higher than a 5, we are going to raise our underlined number by 1. So 6. Is 6 a 5 or higher than a 5? Yes, it is. So we're going to raise this number, 24, by 1. So 24, let's add 1 to it. we're going to come out with 25. Okay. Let's go back to our rules. Okay, we already have done number 3. We know that our number was 5 or higher, so we can skip 4. And then number 5, change all numbers to the right of your place value, which was our underlined number, to 0. So I'll come back over here. That means that this guy's going to turn into a 0, and this guy already is a 0, but we'll just rewrite it. So then I'm just going to carry down my decimal. I'm going to put my 2 zeros there. So 24.60 rounded to the nearest whole number gives you 25.00. And you don't have to write those last zeros, but if you want to, I'm not going to count it wrong. So you just have 25. Okay, so like I said, as you're working on these, follow your steps. They're posted in Google Classroom. If you need to make one of these yourself, there is a visual also in Google Classroom. If you have a printer, you can print it out. That way you don't have to create one yourself, but just use a ruler or something with a straight edge and you can make one for yourself. And then, like I said, if you have any questions or you're confused, have your parent call me, email, or text me. They know my number. All right, I'll see you guys later. Good luck with your work.